Hey, this is Off the Cuff, and I'm Steve from TorahFamily.org. Today we want to talk about keeping our lives in step with the Spirit. Do we really focus our lives on this thought? I mean, seriously, think about it. When we wake up in the morning, do we think, okay, I got to stay in step with the Spirit? That's a thought that just doesn't normally come our way. Imagine it this way. Imagine if Yahweh himself, is reaching out his hand and says to us, come, dance with me. In essence, that's what it is every day when we wake up. He's saying, okay, come on, let's dance, okay? Now, if our life was considered a dance with Yahweh, how would we be doing? Galatians Chapter 5. Since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. My family will tell you that I love choreography. I do. I just love it. I love watching it. I love teaching it. And I love being a part of it. When I see dancers or even actors move in complete unison, and even maybe even doing completely different moves, if you will, but they're in complete perfect timing with each other, to the music, man, all I can tell you is I see a work of art in the making. Watching a team work together in perfect harmony is simply, it's simply amazing to me. There's no other way of saying it, for me anyway. And there's just no doubt when you see a team that does a perfect performance like that, you just know there was countless hours of time, effort, and energy invested to make it happen that way. Speaking from experience, I can tell you that while you're in the middle of a choreograph, or a human video is what I call them too, there's only two things on your mind, okay? One, keeping in time with the music, and two, not forgetting your moves. If it's to look right, you have to have both, okay? If you know your moves but forget the timing, well, or even if you get the timing, okay, but you forget the moves, well, either way, it's messed up. So when it comes to choreography, all I can say is making the right moves at the right time is absolutely critical. And in reality, it's not much different in our walk with the Father. Yet, we as believers are called to walk a path we can't see, to hold a hand we can't feel, to listen to a voice we can't hear with our ears. At times, I got to tell you, it seems difficult, especially in a world where wrong is presented as right, where success is measured in what we have and not in who we are. It can truly be difficult because this world is filled with people who worship their work at their play, and play in their worship. This world is filled with so many churches with people who are busy doing the work of God that they forget the God of the work. Where busyness is equated with godliness. And I know that sounds so harsh, but man, well, it's a trap that all of us have fallen into at one time or another, and probably more times than we want to confess. Have you ever pondered just what the arch enemy of the best is? That may sound like a silly question, but just think about it for a second. Some would say, well, the arch enemy of the best is, well, that means it's the worst. Well, no. That sounds good, but that's just the opposite of the best. As strange as it may sound, the arch enemy to the best is good. All too often, we aim for the best, but end up saying, oh, well, that's good enough, or that'll do. Making the best take second place to the good. Why do we do this? Why do we settle for less? I'll tell you why. Because it's easier, because it's more convenient, because it doesn't take as much time, effort, or energy. Yet, there are some times we shoot for the best the world has to offer without even thinking about settling for second best. Maybe it's a nice house, a nice car, or even maybe a new computer or a new phone. Maybe even nice shoes or clothing. You name it. And when our mind is made up for it, we'll work hard for it. We'll even work overtime for it. We'll be patient and save for it. We'll set the goal and we won't stop until we get it. But here's the thing. Are we that diligent in our walk with Yahweh? Think about that. Are the priorities in your walk with the Father, okay, as strict as some of those things you desire from the world? I'm not talking about, what you do for Yahweh. I'm talking about your walk with Him. There's a difference, okay? What does your priorities in life really look like? How diligent are we at studying the Scriptures, okay? How diligent are we at spending time in prayer? Now remember, I'm talking about in comparison to the things of the world that we long for and strive after. So how do our priorities with Yahweh line up with our priorities with things that we want in the world? That's what I'm trying to bring out for us, We can talk about God all day long, okay? We can sing and worship Him until we can't sing anymore. Yet, in all of this, if it's not followed through with obedience from a heart, okay, I'm talking obedience from the heart, it's just flattery to Him. Where do we really stand? I mean, okay, I know this is coming across harsh. I don't mean it to. I just want us to do a self-evaluation of our walk with the Father. Not what other people think about our walk with the Father, what He knows about our walk with the Father. That's what I want us to really examine. And this is not my notes, but sometimes we can believe our own facade, thinking things are going good. But we have to be honest with ourselves. Do we really take our walk with the Father seriously? Or is it when we gather with fellow believers? Is that the only time we truly take our time with the Father seriously? All I can say is we really need to get ourselves focused on Him. We always try to make time for that which we deem most important with our things in the world. So shouldn't we do that same with the Father? There are two places one can look to see who or what we are serving. Our date book and our checkbook. Our time and our money. One could argue that they spend lots of money and time in their service for Yahweh, and that's good. I'm not wanting to condemn anybody for what they spend or what they do, but the question I have is: are we spending time with Him? There is a difference, okay? You see, doing something for Him is much different than doing something, or I should just simply say, spending time with Him. There's a big difference. Are you so busy that you don't have time to pray? Then you're too busy. When do you spend time talking with the Father? Yeshua Himself, our example, mind you, in life, prayed, and not just a little. Luke chapter 5, verse 16. But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. It says He often withdrew. Even when we're not on our knees, we should still be in constant prayer. It should basically be in an attitude of prayer. It's a constant communication with the Father. In fact, Thessalonians chapter 5 says the very thing. Pray continually. Let's not get so busy doing things for Him that we're not spending time with Him. And remember, prayer is not just speaking to the Father. It's all about spending time with Him. Think of it this way. Have you ever been in a conversation where you couldn't get a word in edgewise? I mean, seriously, where the other person was actually totally dominating the conversation? Or how about those conversations where the other person only wanted to talk about themselves? I mean, we've all been there, right? It's all about what's going on in their lives, what good things is going on in their church, what's happening with their family, all of the things that just surround them and their concerns. How did you feel afterwards? I mean, besides feeling exhausted, did you walk away with thoughts like, wow, that was a lot of fun? Or were your thoughts more like, sheesh, glad that's over? I think we all know that more than likely it was like, I'm glad that's over. Because it wears you out. The person's just constantly draining you, okay? Now here's the thing. Our time with the Father is not to be one-sided. It's not to be just draining on Him. Make time to be silent and just listen. Some people I know struggle with silence. Okay, I realize that. It's for whatever reason, it makes us uncomfortable. And actually, I think it makes us uncomfortable because when we're silent, we're forcing ourselves to slow down. And which makes me wonder that if we're uncomfortable with that, then maybe we aren't slowing down enough. You know what I'm saying? I mean, remember, we're instructed to be silent. Psalms chapter 46. Be still and know that I am God. Be still. Listen. Quiet your mind. In this busy world that we live in, where everything is vying for your attention, be still. Seriously, just be still. Shut the door, close the windows, pull the blinds, and be still before Him. Dwell on His goodness. Dwell on His word. Just give Him opportunity to speak. You never know. I mean, He just might. So don't be so busy for Him that you miss out on time with Him. The extreme opposite in actuality can be just as plausible in one's life. In this day we live in, the mindset is, basically all about getting something for nothing. Okay. Is this how we are to be in our walk with Yahweh? I mean, think about this. Hebrews chapter 11. And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to Him must believe that He exists and that He rewards those who earnestly seek Him. He rewards those who earnestly seek Him. Notice it doesn't say who casually seek Him, or who conveniently seek Him, or who would spend as little time, effort, or energy to seek Him, but rather those who earnestly seek Him, meaning those who crave, commit, contend, and strive after Him. Consider this, John chapter 3. He must become greater, and I must become less. He must become greater, I must become less. Now, let's say this represents your life. It's all you. Then, suddenly, you come to the truth. From this moment on in your life, He must become greater, and you must become less. I hope this makes sense. Your habits fade, and His should take over. Your desires fade, and His desires should take over. Your will fades, and His should take over. He becomes greater, and we become less. Are you pursuing the best? Or are you trying to get something for nothing? Looking for the latest spiritual deal of the day, if you will. We can't do that, folks. We cannot do that. A.W. Tozer once said, too many Christians want to enjoy the thrill of feeling right, but are not willing to endure the inconvenience of being right. Let that sink in for a second. Are you willing to be inconvenienced of your desires for His? Are you willing to be inconvenienced of your will to let His take over? Think about this. I mean, consider even the words of King David, the guy who was noted as the man after God's own heart. Consider. But King David replied to Araunah, "No, I insist on paying the full price. I will not take for Yahweh what is yours, or sacrifice a burnt offering that costs me nothing." If David would have taken that which was being offered to him and gave it as a sacrifice unto the Father, what would it have cost him? Nothing. It would have cost him absolutely nothing. May we never live our lives trying to offer the Father something that costs us nothing, or as little as possible, or the other extreme either. May we never get so busy in serving Him that we miss completely spending our time with Him, missing out on a relationship with Him. And please know, having your eyes opened to something doesn't mean you're living in it. It just means you're accountable to it. Knowing the Scriptures is one thing. Knowing the author is another. How is your relationship with Him today? Seriously, please don't let that thought go by you, okay? How is your relationship with Him today? How is your dance with Him going? Galatians Chapter 5. Since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. Well, that's all I have. Think about it. Pray about it. But more than anything, be a doer of the word and not a hearer only. Until next time, Shalom.